Hello everyone. So now let's talk about the third process of integration management knowledge area, which is direct and manage project work. One of the important process, I would say, and basically why I'm saying one of the important, it's basically because the deliverables are created here. So the process which is giving you the deliverables. So let's go back to our example of buying the car. This is where I will get my car. So I went to the showroom, I bought the car, and like it's an important deliverable for me, right? This is why I was doing that project. My main aim of that project was to get a car, and today is the day to get that car. So that is the deliverable for me. So this is direct and managed project work. Process of leading and performing the work defined in the project management plan. So first of all, your project management plan defined that how I will do it. Like it will tell me, okay, what all research analysis I would have done to get that car, right? Now, based upon my, if you remember the expert judgment, my friend told me all those good things about the car, and then I took a decision. But when I'm doing it, where I'm buying it, and like all of those things are important, right? So today is the day I will have my car, which is my first deliverable, which is direct and manage project work. Directing and managing project work is a process that creates the project deliverables by performing on the work packages. So, of course, work packages, as I told you, this is something which we would be discussing in the scope management knowledge area. But think of work packages as deliverables, because work packages are also deliverable based. They are when you convert the requirements into much more manageable components, which are basically deliverables, and you assign those deliverables to your individual team members, or some other folks who are responsible for those deliverables. The objectives of this project are realized in this project, in this process. So that's why I say it is very important, because you will get maximum number of resources, maximum number of time, like most time, all of those things would actually be spent in this particular process. Most of the project's time, cost and resources are consumed in this process. That's what I was talking about. Importance, this process is very important as deliverables are created here. Again, I'm really interested, like for you, right now, if you're preparing for it, I would say this is more like a execution stage where you are actually working towards it. Your initiation stage would be like when the first time you actually thought that I want to give PMP, that was more like an initiation stage. Then when you, let's say, if you are being funded by your organization, then you discussing with your managers and all those things, getting the approval that they will fund it. That was more like your project charter. Then how you will do it, like I'm pretty sure you might have searched on Google many different companies, videos, questions, and then you probably selected this one because this is where I want to go. So that was more like a planning, that how you would do it. But when you are actually doing it, when you are actually listening to these videos, when you are actually practicing those questions, this means you are doing this direct and managed project work. Okay. Management, it provides overall management of the project work and deliverable. So basically, I would say this is where you are creating the deliverables, the most important concept in this particular process. So you are actually managing those as well. Okay. So next, we will be discussing the input tools and techniques. This is inputs. You will see we will have the project management plan. This was actually one of the output from the previous process. So one thing you would notice heavily in these processes is actually that output of the previous process will most probably become the input to the next process. And for this, why you will have project management plan as an input here? Because project management plan will tell you how you would do it, right? And in order to create, like for example, for your PMP preparation, you would have discussed about that. I wanna research on online. I wanna read the reviews. So all those things, like you were doing those research in order to select the best package for you. So those, but now when you purchase that package, when you are actually going towards it, working towards it, that's your direct and managed project work. In the project documents, you will have the change log. Change log, change log is once your change request is approved or rejected, you have a document which we project document which we call it as a change log, which it gets updated. Basically, who requested that change, what was the decision of that change, all of those things are actually updated in that change log. So if you're doing work and if let's say it's a approved change request, then you need to know, right? This was an approved, then only you have to do it, right? Then you will also have the lessons learned register. Lessons learned register, as the name suggests, lessons learned register, which means it talks about all the previous lessons learned, whatever you have learned. So like for example, I talk to my students, I try to get much feedback from them, and then accordingly, when I create a new video, I make sure that I'm creating, I'm improving on all the based upon those feedback. That's a lesson learned register for me. So same case. Like let's say I have a car of brand A. I did not like it. It was pretty expensive. The maintenance was pretty high. Based upon those things, that was a lesson. Now I'm not buying that brand. I'm probably going for another brand, right? This was an example of lesson learned register for me. Then you also need milestone list. I need to know when is the date when I will actually go and purchase that car, right? That's milestone list. The dates of all the important milestones on my project. And one of the biggest milestone is the day when I buy my car. So you need to know that as well in order to buy the car, right? Then you need project communications. Everything is related to communications. I will probably go and tell my family that I'm going and buying this car, right? So if I do that, that's project communications for me. So I want to communicate, then only I'll go and buy, um, it depends upon the culture also. Like when we get a new car, we probably try to take it to a temple, and we have the saint who makes sure that the car it runs good, and it's all about belief, right? That's I until unless I call the saint that I would be visiting you, I won't do that. So that's project communications for you. Then you would also have the project schedule. When, yeah, that's very important, because milestone is this day. The day when I'm buying this car is very much important, very much related to all the other activities, like how I'm going. Am I taking the bus? Am I is my friend dropping me there, or is my whatever, all those things. That's part of project schedule. Then requirements traceability matrix, something which we would be discussing in much more detail in the scope management knowledge area, but it's all about all the requirements and how they trace back to their origin. I'll talk about that. You need to know when when you're actually doing the work. Then risk register. Okay, what if the bus I go, that goes bad. The bus I'm using to go and buy my car, that goes bad. What if the dealer is now suddenly charging me extra price, and he's saying that it's something which they missed. So all those are actually risk, and whenever I do a work, I want to make sure I want to account for those risks as well. Then we have the risk report. I'll be discussing this in much more detail when we do the risk management. Approved change requests. Okay. So let's say I'll give you a basic, I will give you another example for it. Let's say I'm a contractor. You want to make sure you want to paint your house. Okay, you want to paint your house, and I'm a contractor who is coming there and painting your house. So I said, okay, let me start with the living room first. And you guys told me that, in the living room, we want, let's say, white color on the wall. I said, okay, I agreed. I gave you some samples of that white color, and you selected a particular white color which you really wanted on the walls. So I started painting, I started doing the work. So I'm now in direct and managed project work. Okay, I painted the wall, and suddenly, your family member, close family member, said it to you that what, white color is not going with the the sofas we have in the living room. So what should we do now? So now, okay, you do the impact analysis, you do all those things, you follow a change control process, and you come up to me and say that, you know what, Varun, white color is not looking good. Can we change it to something like, let's say, yellow? So I said, absolutely. So what I will do is I'll probably say that, okay, if you want to change it to yellow color, I would have to go to the market and buy the yellow color. This would charge this would cost me this. So you would probably have to bear that cost. Okay, and this would take an extra time because now I have to redo the wall again. So are you fine with all those things? So I'll give the analysis of the change request, and let's say you guys are fine with that. You guys, okay, Varun, now I want to make sure that you go ahead and paint that wall to yellow. So your approved change request is telling me to change it to yellow. So again, I have to go and do the work, but until unless I know that you have approved that change request, that now it is of yellow color, I can't do that, right? So I need to know that this is a new request which got approved by the change control board, that this wall should be of yellow color. Then we have the common inputs, which is the EEF and OPM. Tools, we have expert judgment, PMIS, and meetings. We would be discussing in details. Outputs will get the deliverables. My car, the deliverable which I was waiting for from a long time. That's one of the deliverable. Then I'll get the work performance data. If you remember, I briefly discussed about the work performance data in the introduction slide, where work performance data is all about raw observations. So I got my deliverable, I will definitely have some kind of raw observation. Like similarly, I'll say you guys have some raw observation about this course, right? You have, this is your, second chapter. Now you have started to develop a kind of trust. I'm assuming that you have started to develop a kind of trust that, okay, Varun teaches good. Varun is, helping me with some real life examples which I can relate to. And this is really helping me to get the concept. So initially, when you say that, let's say for the first time when you watch my video, the introduction video, and you said that, you know what, I'm not really sure that, Varun would be good or not. So when you're not really sure, when it's just your raw observation, that is your work performance data. But when the time passes, when you start to build some trust, that work performance data actually gets converted into information. And finally, if you remember, that information gets converted into the reports. But now, I got my car, I will have some raw observation, which is like, I love this car. What is the speed? Like, it has pretty good speed. Mileage is okay, but I can go over it. That's fine. So okay, so these are some of the raw observations which I have when I get my car. That's the work performance data. Then sometime, let's say, issue log. I see my car, and then I have a problem that issue log states, you know what, I think the mileage is a pretty big problem. I can't deal with it. And issue log also talks about who is the issue owner, who will resolve that issue, or what is the time and what is the duration of resolving those issues. So all of those things are also mentioned in the issue log. Then of course, if let's say we got change request, I got the car, I showed it to my family, and my let's say my father told me that, what is this, Varun? I really don't like it. Why did you brought this car? Just go and change it. That's a change request. That's a totally, I would say, a new project for me. But let's say they told me, you know what, Varun, the speaker is not good. The audio, the music system is not good. That's a change request, right? So probably I have to do some analysis. I could see that, a new music system, I could afford it or not. All those things are change request. Then basically we'll get the common output, which is the plan updates. Any component will be updated, document updates, documents also be updated, like activity list, assumption, lessons learned register, requirements, risk, stakeholder, like all of these things would get updated as well. And finally, we will have the OP updates. Whatever you do, you have to go back and update the assets for the future projects, because it could be some kind of lesson learned for you, right? Because if you see here, your lesson learned register is getting updated. Okay. Now, similarly, whenever you buy something, or not just buy something, whenever you do something, you always get associated with risk. What if, like, now my father told me I don't like the music system, that's a risk for my project, right? So I have to go back and update the risk register as well now. Okay. Similarly, sometimes stakeholders, like a new stakeholder might come in. So I would have to update my stakeholder register. Like same example, I need to get a new music system, but the dealer is not offering me a good, upgraded version of the music system. So might be I have to go outside the dealer, outside the city, and I would have to get it from somewhere else. If I have to get it from somewhere else, that's a new person, that's a new stakeholder on the project, right? So my stakeholder register might also get updated. So next is our input explanation. So I basically explained you why all of these. So I actually covered this slide. So first is the your project management plan, common one. Output of the previous became the input. Like similarly, if you remember, for the develop project management plan, project charter was the output of the previous one, and it became the input. Then approve change request. I told you why approve change request. The example which I gave you was changing the wall from white to yellow color. That was approved change request. Project documents, I explained all the project documents which were the input, and EF and OPA are the common ones. We can ignore. Tools and technique. Expert judgment. If we start with expert judgment, you can say my friend who was guiding me to buy that car, who was giving me all his expert. He's a he drives a lot of cars, and he has pretty good knowledge of those cars. So that's he's more like an expert. Then you can also talk about the PMIS, project management information system. So PMIS it's a repository, which contains various scheduling tools. It work authorization system, configuration management system, corporate knowledge. So it has many things which are part of it. Just make sure when you read this, read all the bullet points which are specifically mentioned in PMIS. But if I have to describe PMIS in one word, I would probably say repository. Something which is storing some kind of information. So if you're creating a deliverable, you are storing it also. Like for example, my garage would be, my garage would be, one of the example of PMIs, because this is where I'm storing my car. Okay. And of course, if you want to buy some, whatever, if you want to do something, you're doing the work, you want some kind of meetings. Like for example, for your PMP study, you might have guys have done some kind of study group, right? That's the meetings. Like I see a lot of people on our Facebook group, they don't know each other, but based upon the discussions on the group, they build some kind of trust, and because of that, they go ahead and form a group. So and they start meeting and start discussing, start preparing it together. That's when they are really preparing for it. Okay, next on the output explanation, I already discussed. This was where our deliverable is created. And remember the definition of deliverable. It should be a unique product, result, or service. Because if you remember, the definition of a project is a time limited. A time limited, for that was the keyword. So it has to end. Project is not, it's not like an operation which never ends. It's a time limited, and it makes sure that it creates a unique deliverable. So this deliverable should be unique. Like for example, for this course is unique for you, right? Why? You might have gone, you might have seen some other course, right? Now, but you are seeing a different course with different content, with different person who is teaching you. All those are some, a unique service for you. It's a deliverable. Then issue log, I already discussed. I bought a car. My father did not like that stereo system. That's an issue. Then work performance data, like some kind of raw observation. I like, oh my god, the color is so good. The color is so flashy. The tires are so good. All those are my raw observations, like the first time. But when I actually drive, then I would come to know more about it. Change requests, of course, the music system was something which I did not like. Then project document updates, project plan updates. You will, make sure that all of these things get updated. That's the real part of it. Okay, so finally, let's do a quick revision. So first of all, know the key outputs, deliverables, and work performance data. Right from the start of this video, I have been, constantly talking about deliverables, and deliverables. Why? Because this is the most important output of this process. And with deliverables, the first time you see something, it always comes with the raw observation. And when I talk about raw observation, this is actually the work performance data I was talking about. Then know that this process does not occur once, but many times in the cycle of planning, executing, and monitoring and control. So again, this is until unless my last deliverable is created, I will keep on doing it, right? I want to make sure, like for me, my deliverable was buying a car. Then for me, my next deliverable is, getting some heavy tires. My third deliverable is probably a new brand new music system, an upgraded version. Or fourth, I don't know, some fashionable lights or something. So just an FYI, I'm fine with cars, but I'm not that much interested. I'm just trying to give you an example which you can relate it more. Know that this process is guided by project plan with updates by outputs of the perform integrated change control process to be discussed. So again, we saw that the approved change request was an input here, and that input actually came from the perform integrated change control process. So from that process, we got the approval that this is the change request, that now it's the time to change the color of the wall to yellow, and we will go back and change the color. Okay, and this is where we will actually change the color. It implements approved changes to achieve the project objective. So if your project objective has changed from white to yellow color and you are fine with the time, cost and everything, then I'm fine too, guys. So I can do the same thing.